Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be drawing some noses. So we like to break down our features into different shapes. So the basic formula for a nose would be one circle with two smaller overlapping circles on the sides. Generally, everybody's nose is different, so some of you might have more of an oval shape, some of you might be more squared or more pointy. Again, everybody is different, so take this formula and adapt it to your own needs. We're learning to see shapes at this point. So how can you break your nose down into different shapes? What we're going to do is just start with the basic formula. So the one large circle with two smaller overlapping circles. So the large circle would be like the ball of your nose, and the two smaller circles are your nostrils. Remember, draw this lightly because you'll need to erase all of those circles. You don't want to have those imprinted into your paper. What we'll start with is making kind of the edges of the nostrils. Usually this is about one of the few places where you're actually going to see some lines in the drawing, because these are generally the darkest areas of your face, depending on lighting. So kind of like two parentheses shapes to make the nostrils. Then we're going to use where these circles overlap as a guide to create the openings for the nostrils and the bottom of the nose. So it's kind of like a curvy, wavy sort of shape. Obviously the nostrils are smaller than the bottom of the nose, and then the sides of the nostrils kind of overlap, but they don't connect. So they're slightly overlapping just to show that the nostril kind of wraps around there. And then we'll erase these circles. So remember, we draw it light so we can erase. And I'm going to leave just the overlapping points because that's usually where your nostrils meet the ball of your nose, and there might be some shading there. Now the rest of this is all shading. So depending on the light, where the light is coming from, you might have really dark areas, you might not. So think about this as like how you would shade a sphere. You're curving around the shapes, and on the bridge of the nose you're kind of curving outwards so that we can get the feel of that shape. Remember, with the bridge of the nose, don't just draw lines. There aren't lines there. It's all just shading. So if you have really strong light, you might not even see the bridge of your nose. But then when we're working on the ball of the nose and the nostrils, we want to curve around those shapes to make them seem round. And then, we left those little points there, and that's usually where we're going to have some darker shadows. And underneath the ball of the nose is usually a little bit darker as well. Then some of us might have some shadows along the sides of the nostrils, kind of where our cheeks begin. And underneath our nose, at the top of our lip. So when we work on the nostrils, we don't want to color in like a big circle because that starts to look a little weird. We don't want a pig nose. So what I tend to do here is just start shading at that line and then gently lift off on the pressure so that we don't have a solid shape. Here we kind of have that Cupid's bow showing up, that little indent above our lips. And depending on the light, that can be pretty dark as well. And then the sides of our upper lip, you want to be careful with the shading so it doesn't look like you have a mustache or anything. You don't want any wispy stashes around here, unless if you have one, of course. And then I'm just going to briefly sketch in the upper lip so that we know where it is. So I'm going to smudge this area so it doesn't look like a mustache. And again, you can use your finger, you can use a blending stump, you can use your pencil. It's all up to you how you want to blend things. But I would say keep it consistent. So if you're going to shade it all the same. Otherwise, it starts to look kind of funky. And the key thing to making things look realistic is to have good value contrast. So you have a wide range of lights and darks so that everything kind of sticks out. If it doesn't stick out, you can't really see it. The best rule of thumb is if you're not sure about your value contrast, have someone hold it about 5 feet away, and if you can't see details, then you need to work on your values. I used to have that problem all the time. So I understand it's scary to make values, but once you get over it, it can be life-altering with your drawing abilities. So we'll darken up some of these values and make everything kind of pop. And we can't forget about the bridge of the nose. So this area up here is kind of where your eye is going to be, and that's right under your brow bone, so that tends to be kind of the darkest area on your face. And don't forget to leave those little highlights on the tip of your nose. That's the point that sticks out the farthest, so that's the point that usually catches the light. Sometimes we have those highlights on the sides of our nostrils too. You can kind of see them sticking out there. And some final definitions coming in just for that extra value contrast. And there you have it. That's one nose. Thanks for watching.